And you want to know what's common in every culture that I've been to? Is when you get down to the salt of the earth and the working people, they don't talk in flowery language. If they think you're full of shit, they call you full of shit. If you stink, they say you stink. And you want to know where Father came from and how he talked? There's people I know personally that have translated for Father. I also know Father's broken English. And I know when they translated vagina and penis, that ain't what Father was saying. He was saying in the language that 80-90% of the world speaks in. It was Adam's prick and it was Eve's pussy that got us in this trouble. Okay? Because the thing is, Father wanted people to understand plainly. You think God is ashamed? Who's ashamed? It certainly wasn't Father. Why are we?
If you don't have control, if you have self-centered thoughts towards the penis and the vagina, you convict yourself already, and you also can't fathom that other people are speaking about it from a pure point of view because it doesn't register to you. So your robes are dirty. That's why you feel bad, because you're dirty.
You haven't washed your robes in the blood of the Lamb.
Your robes. You don't understand sex from the point of view of God's grace. And you're still thinking of sex as like the cookie jar, right? And
stealing it.
Yeah, like, you know, like I'm gonna bide my time and get my sex partner from the Messiah so that I can do all the things that Satan promised me I'll be able to do in a romance, in a you know, and you're stealing what the Messiah gave you so that you can enjoy it the way Satan wants to enjoy it, and you can't imagine that other people aren't doing that too, and you don't want it talked about. You think, you know, anyway, you're the one who's dirty. Father's not dirty. And you know, Robert just used the word pussy. That doesn't make Robert dirty. And apparently Father used the Korean equivalent. But you know, I'm just going to move on because I know some of you are just so freaking too immature to deal with that, and you're going to get all messed up over it. And
time to grow up.
And I'm not saying sorry for it. I just know that you're boxed in. And I know I've talked to many of you. You're boxed in. You absolutely affirm Satan all the time because you are so certain that people should not talk like this. You're so certain that Father shouldn't have talked like that. You know better than the Messiah how sex is to be viewed, and that's a lot of you. And I know also how stiff you are, how hard it clings to you. And if you want to know about the failures of the church, why the BCs fall and all this kind of stuff, it's all this stuff. It's the archangelic leadership structure represented by this man's arrogant assertion that Hyungjanim has to pass his sniff test as if he is God the King. And it is our arrogant assertion that sex is what Satan always told us it is, not what the Messiah told us it is. You look at those two things, and there's your failure of the church, and there's your core reason why the BCs fall. Okay? So, moving on.
Point. Who subjugated Satan? Well, we all know true Father carried the cross, going to prison 6 times. And Hyungjanim makes a big deal about Father's 6 times death and resurrections. He says this is why Father's greater than Jesus.
7, Andrew, you're not listening.
Okay, but lots of people have suffered. Lots of people have carried crosses of prison and whatnot.
My, just trivialize.
Actually, the reason Father is greater in Jesus is because Father is true parents, and the reason Father is true parents.
Right there, personally I have to tell you, I joined the church because Jesus came to me in a vision and told me, quote, "The sufferer wears more crowns than the sacrifice." So Jesus is the guy who goes to the cross and goes to the next realm. Father's the guy who goes to artistic cross after artistic cross after artistic cross over and over again and remains on earth year after year, soaking up the pain in the aftermath of those betrayals. So Jesus said to me, the sufferer wears more crowns than the sacrifice. So anybody who can flippantly diminish the suffering of true Father just really doesn't understand what Father's hope is. And it's easy when you're ignorant of somebody's heart and their hope to step on it. And I think, anyway, you judge for yourself.
Parents is because he's with mother. That's why he's greater than Jesus.
False statement. Father was greater than Jesus prior to the 1960 blessing, prior to even his first wife. Why? It was very clear. Father went beyond the cross. Father talks about this, that by going beyond the death of the cross. I wish Juan Pil Kim was still here with us. He isn't. I'm glad he's in
That is a
spirit
great
world,
point.
in spirit world with Father. He's the only one, but he actually tended Father when he'd been thrown out in the snow and left for dead, and nursed him back to physical health. But the point is, he's not greater than Jesus because of mother. That has nothing to do with any of the women.
In other words, marrying mother wasn't the point at that which he surpassed Jesus.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. Andrew's whole premise here, and Andrew should know this. He should. And I think he actually does, but I think he's just suddenly said, well, no, I misunderstood, or whatever. He's convinced himself otherwise.
He's willing to change his entire hermeneutic grid in order to suck up to mother.
Basically.
He's willing to brainwash himself in order to not have the anxiety associated with being separated from mother. So when mother's off and the Taishinja says she's off, instead of examining that and all that it means, well, for Hyungjin it meant that I have to go out in the woods and get comfortable being in poverty because I can't take a stipend check. I can't take a salary from that corrupt organization anymore. I have to be willing to go and allow God to show me a different way to sustain myself and my family. Every one of us is facing that. Hyungjanim is leading every last one of us because every last one of us is facing the same question. If you had to be kicked out from a corrupt organization, as cushy and as socially comfortable as it is, okay, would you do it in order to remain pure? Would you go into an impoverished situation or uncertainty? Would you go into some form of uncertainty like Hyungjanim in order to have the certainty that you're doing it God's way? And that's what we're all up against. So if you're willing to rearrange your belief system for the social comfort of saying, well, at least we have our church again, and at least we're still surviving this last attack from... No, you're thinking of your own freaking survival more than God's will. Do you realize this is the last true child? So you're running a program in your head called Survive First. You're trying to freaking survive socially, and you're not letting God have his way. God is coming second. You're first, God's second.
Yeah, and I just want to conclude. This is absolutely false. By Father's own life, own testimony, and his own words. Don't take my word on it. Go find out for yourself. Anybody who watches Andrew Wilson, and I'm not going to tell you not to, even though he is an absolute idiot in this, go ahead, watch him. But take what Reagan said.
Trust but verify?
Verify. Verify everything. You'll find out Actually, Andrew Wilson's a paper tiger intellectually and spiritually. Actually, I'm amazed that the Family Fed is willing to put him out there, because he's such a spiritual and intellectual wimp in his presentation. He really is.
Especially after you took the stability of the truth and you left it for the social stability. Let's face it, okay? If, you're willing to change the way you understand reality for social comfort, you got to be able to catch yourself if you're doing that. So we all are looking at, okay, mother's the one chosen by God to be true mother. But Hyungjinim is crowned 3 times, so we have 2 people in high position that I'm supposed to respect. What am I supposed to do? You're supposed to listen to Andrew Wilson? No. Like I said, you're supposed to go in your closet and take it to God, right? Because from your point of view, well, we know she is true mother. And, well, we know he did get crowned 3 times. So I can't make up my mind. And I'm telling you, look, I'm a very confident person in my understanding of the principle, and I cannot pass judgment on Hyungjinim. God won't let me. He will not let me. Every time I get down to pray about it, you'll find out. You will find out. Go get down on your knees and pray and meet the real God. Let him tell you, okay? Lean on your social network. Lean on what this guy is saying. Your social network is a false god. And the Unification Church is trying to expand a comfortable, archangelic, pyramid social network that can rival God, replace God. And that's why it's become evil. It doesn't tell it. If none of you can get down and pray and talk to God but move forward, you're false. If you can just move forward into this next era in the midst of this conflict and never once fast, pray, do prayer conditions, do something in the midst of this type of schism, you're already false, because you live your life by social network, which is a false God. You don't know God. You know what the social winds say, okay? And you can't be like that. And Andrew Wilson talking about how Father only passed Jesus because of Mother. Really, think about that.
It's false. I mean, it's false in every aspect.
I mean, why would Satan allow Father to do that? No, Satan is going to make Father face the cross, surpass the cross, before he's in pure territory again. Okay?
Well, let me add. The foundation for Father to have the holy wedding is that he surpasses Jesus. Think of that! Father can't get there until he goes beyond Jesus. Mother, or any of the women, have 0 to do with that. The Lord of the Second Advent comes to complete the course of Adam, not Eve. Father had to walk beyond the second Adam. Don't take my words for it. As Jamal told you, not only ask of the Father, ask of the Son directly. Many early members had visions and experiences directly with Jesus, where Jesus testifies directly to Father. And you're going to listen to Andrew Wilson tell you differently? What I'm saying is if you believe this guy, even God can't help you.
Because the ideal of creation is father and mother, male and female, together in the image of God. And anyway, but the point is that in order to subjugate Satan, it wasn't enough for Father to carry the cross. Mother had to carry a cross too. Because in the Garden of Eden, who did Satan attack first? Eve. So how can Satan be subjugated without Eve doing her part?
Stop.
It's natural that Eve had to do her part.
Here, I actually agree with Andrew, but he's already set such false premise. He doesn't understand the deal. he's saying, and it's right up here on the screen, the last point, Adam cannot subjugate Satan by himself. Eve also has to act from her position. That's half true, half wrong. Adam can subjugate Satan, and
That's
Father
true.
did.
That's right. Yeah,
And this is the point. And this is the point that Father made many times. Even if Eve, after Eve fell, if Adam had remained standing, eventually Adam could have restored Eve, or at least another Eve. Okay, I'm not going to get into the messy details or whatever, but very clearly, Adam can subjugate Satan, and as you say, with a simple no. Okay?
That's true.
It wasn't Lucifer or the fallen archangel directly subjugating Adam. It was a seduced and fallen Eve that subjugated Adam. This why the second part, Eve also has to act from her position. Proper position. And if you understand this, then you can see exactly how far off
Right.
Mother is.